The report by the Hema Committee, which looked into how the Malayalam film industry functions and how it treats its women, is finally out after 5 years of the government of Kerala withholding it. Today, joining us is actor Parvati, one of the founding members of the Women in Cinema Collective, who had also appeared before the Hema Committee. Parvati, it's been 2 days since the report is out. I'm sure you have read most of it, or at least parts of it by now. My first question to you is that how are you feeling? Because it's been a struggle for all of you to go before the committee first and then to wait for so long for this report to come out.
Frankly, Danya, it is quite bittersweet. Um, the fact that it's come out, the fact that the findings have now corroborated with everything that we have been speaking publicly for so long. It has given a certain sense of it's a government constituted committee. When that comes out, there is a finality to it. There is so much of trust in that. So we feel sort of vindicated in one sense for all the hatred and all the trolling and all the slut shaming that we faced at the time when we came out to tell what the actual reality is for us to work in this film industry. But at the same time, what has actually come forth, the things that we have been mentioning since the beginning, and what has now been proved in the report, are all extremely heartbreaking truths that have come out. So definitely there is a lot of triggers, a lot of trauma revisiting that's happening to most of us. So we are definitely yeah, we are navigating that.
Parvati, how has the emotional journey been from 2017 onwards when the incident of the assault of your colleague happened, forming the WCC, appearing before the HEMA committee, and finally the report coming out?
Oh, it has been extremely painful and revelatory, to say the least. I feel like none of us knew what we were actually getting into at the time. We just knew one thing, and this I've said time and time again, is that we just knew one thing: things just cannot go on the way it has. When February 2017 happened, it was a wake up call to all of us. The fact that no matter how we shrink, no matter how much we adjusted, no matter how much we conformed to any ideas of how women should behave at workplace when it comes to Malayalam film industry, we were all a target at any point at the women fancy of anyone. And so at that point it felt like we might as well put up this fight, because in any case we are going to be shoved aside. Our rights were a joke. And so we went in all guns blazing, because it had to do with our dignity, and we just did not want to continue the same way. So we went in with that. We went all the way in, but after we went in is when we realized this has never been done before in any film industry, let alone Malayalam film industry, for us to have a precedent to follow.
Parvati, ever since the report has come out, there's a lot of public discourse, and within the media too, people are asking that why have no perpetrators been named in this report? Why has no action been taken against any of them? What are your thoughts about that?
See, the purpose of HEMA committee report in itself is not to name and shame. The reason why we asked for it, the reason why the government constituted this commission, is in order to put on workplace practices that would protect everybody, not just women, but everybody, but primarily women at this point, because we are at the receiving end of all kinds of injustice. That is the main reason this committee was formed together. The naming, shaming, and finding justice part of it is secondary, tertiary when it comes to the context of HEMA committee report. That is not to say that we are belittling or we are taking away the importance of finding justice to those who have been at the receiving end of such heinous crimes. But that said, if any one of them, in any one of the ones who have gone and deposed in front of the HEMA committee report, wants to take action, and there would be support. The collective has always been on the side of those who have wanted to take legal action against their perpetrators, and have always stood by them. I think at this point, the question needs to be that how is the government and the police looking at everything that has come out in the report, and how are they going to explore the possibilities of under what sections of crimes do they come up to. The importance of redacting the names is purely and primarily to keep the focus on the fact that the the motive or the result that we are aiming to get out of the report is in order to put together an entire workplace culture practices that will benefit everyone. So that needs to be the focus.
But Parvati, again, that question will persist, right? If there were criminal acts done by people, then shouldn't they be held responsible for that? Now, the government is continuously saying that let those people who deposed before the committee come and talk before the police. Now, is that really an option before all of you?
Frankly, any number of times that we have seen women come forward and name their perpetrators and have gone through the FIR route, I frankly find it very hard to name even one case that has actually found justice. So, considering that, especially from even the February 2017 case, it still hasn't. It still hasn't found its answer. The justice is still delayed. So, if the government is expecting those who have deposed to come forward, they also have to put together some form of action that will place our trust better in them, in terms of how justice is sped up in order to play. Like, the trust is just not there anymore. I don't
Hmm.
think that any of the women who have spoken up will believe that going to the police or giving FIR or going by the case, because what ensues after that is years and years of slut shaming in media, and then being ripped apart, and then chances being lost. And so my question always is going to be not just to the government but to all the people who have been like, where are the perpetrators' name? Who are the ones who have spoken about it? What really happened? My question to them is, what exactly are you going to do with that information? And when that information does come out or somebody does take a case against them, will you protect them? Will you protect them from online trolling and attacks? Will you protect them, and give them work, make sure that they are employed still? Because we still know, as per the report, that there is this unsaid ban on people who do speak up. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, are you asking for the general public who's asking for the names? Are you asking it for your own amusement or voyeuristic pleasures? Or is the government asking because they are so sure in themselves that they're going to give us justice, because so far the track record is not so glowing?
Hmm. Parvati, because you spoke about the lobby, the report speaks a lot about this powerful lobby in Malayalam cinema, which can unofficially ban people, which can make sure that people's chances are spoiled. Is that lobby still functioning in Malayalam cinema, or has also that been weakened ever since 2017?
Um, that's actually a very good question, Danya. But frankly, the people that I have worked with over the years, and I have worked very less since 2017, as much as I should be working, in my opinion. Um, there are people who have worked with me, only those who were okay with the politics that we as the collective have been speaking. And in the workplace, I have seen them change the workplace culture, making sure that an IC is in place or having bigger conversations. Or those practices have changed. So for sure, I do see a change and a shift in the workplace culture, but that's a rarity. I want to say that's very little, but it is still a positive shift. That said, the mafia that is mentioned in the report, very much still there. My example of what I would say is that before I resigned from AMMA, I remember there was a piece of paper, there's a form that was sent across when Revati Chechi and I were both presenting our concerns in front of the EC. And there were so many junior artists and so many supporting actors especially who were given this piece of paper to write what their concerns were at workplace.
Hmm.
And one particular gentleman, who is a gentleman who's not a woman, a man, came up to me and said, dear, I cannot write what I have to say. It has to be anonymous, because as it is, I don't get any work. If the big guns know about it, if the mafia knows about it, I will not be able to pay my bills. So this is not just a matter about the women. This is also men having their own concerns at workplace, who are also so scared of this big goon gang who will keep away work opportunities from them.
So, Parvati, I don't want to put the onus on you by asking you who is the lobby, right? But my question to you is that do you believe that there would be people in the industry now who would at least now come out, the men in the industry also, who would now perhaps come out and say, this is a lobby. They have been controlling this industry. We don't want them to do that.
Uh, Frankly, I don't think they will come out, at least not in the brazen way that we would probably see in movies. But I feel that they will come out in their own ways in terms of what actions they might do. I have faith in that. I have faith in certain young filmmakers who have come across. I've come across certain young producers that I've come across. There is a shift in power that is slowly but surely happening, but
Mm.
it is not fast enough. I would say I'm one of the lucky ones, the more privileged ones who's still getting work. There are so many women who are losing out on work on the daily just because they have been either associated with WCC, or even without being associated with WCC, are outspoken in their own associations and unions. And I think that the speed of this change needs to be faster. In terms of why they might not, my only assumption here would be is that calling them out publicly will harm them in a much bigger way. So I am seeing that there is a certain guerrilla technique of sidestepping the entire mafia and making sure change is still coming in place.
Guerrilla techniques to take on the mafia. Part of the two or three things in the report were very, very disturbing, at least for me personally. One is the hint that perhaps minors or people who are adults now but were minors and were sexually assaulted in the industry have spoken to the committee. The second is that women are asked for sexual favors right from the time they enter the industry. Is that really very prevalent? The report says that it is really prevalent.
It is absolutely very prevalent. And I find it very amusing when people find it so hard to believe. Because if you actually look at any part of our culture, like our cultural art space or any other workspace, and what's happening in our country currently, we can see that the way the idea that women are supposed to satisfy a certain voyeuristic need, or or needs to compromise, or will always be there to satisfy men's needs, is a very badly perpetrated notion in our society. And I would say, where is it coming from? It's not a big question. It is there within all of us. It is there in the society. That's where it's coming from. And the fact is that there is this notion that women are coming to the industry for fame and money. Fame and money is a part of it, but what about the artistry of it? When a woman is coming in to become an actor, to become a technician on any capacity, they're coming in because they are good at their job, they want to create art, and they're coming in is a thought that's lost on people. They just can't seem to take it seriously that they are actual professionals coming to do work, which is also why they cannot fathom the idea that there needs to be consent, there needs to be workplace behavior that needs to be put in place, because as long as you're around, there can be a pass at you. And it even it gets bad, it gets worse at moments where women come in at any capacity in any department, who are also desperate to get work. They are good at their jobs and they are desperate to get work. And when these harassments continue, the sexual favors are being asked, and that's an actual sexual harassment that continues. Then the onus is again put on them. Why did you not say no? It's never again. It's not. It's like we say, Danya. We've seen this debate on and on. We always like woman raped. Okay, wait, woman was raped out of nowhere or what? Like, somebody must have done it. Why is it not the headline reading man raped woman? So it's the same thing. Why is the onus not going on the people who are doing these crimes and talking about why are the men doing this, and why do they feel so entitled and have such impunity in doing this? Who is empowering them to do this? And why can we not take away the question as to, oh, but why did the women do it? You know why the women did it? Because it's our right to work in any workplace we desire to be. Now, that might be a very hard fact for a lot of people to swallow, but now the time has come. I think they must make peace with that. Emails and messages that I'm getting where lay people who are not part of the industry are reading the report and writing saying that you guys were so right. I couldn't believe that these are the things that are happening. How are you holding up? There is a lot of solidarity that is being, but there is also another section that is also showing their true colors in saying that why don't you look for other job? Why don't you just leave if it is so difficult? Obviously, it's a very misplaced advice. It looks like it's coming from some good intention, but it is really misplaced, because at the end we are talking about every individual having the dignity to exist in whichever workplace they want to. By making sure that the media is asking the right question, and by people asking right questions and having these debates, we might end up just having that access in our society shift just a little bit at least, so that it starts reflecting in their daily lives as well.
Parthi, you have been a part of the Malayalam industry for long. Did you also have experiences that you have faced, bad experiences that you shared with the HEMA committee?
Yes, of course I did. I had several. I deposed for at least 6 to 7 hours in front of the HEMA committee. So I had a whole, spectrum of issues that I had to share with. I was already a decade into being an actor in Malayalam cinema.
And there is one part where it mentions you, of course, it does not take your name, but the report says that the movie Takeoff, though the female actor put in more hours and had more, much of a bigger role, she was paid lesser than the two male actors in that movie. There's a specific part which does talk of Takeoff without taking your name.
Yes, it does. I mean, it is pretty clear, and it is also important to note that that is a fact that was not just mentioned in front of HEMA committee in confidentiality. It is also something that I have mentioned in other interviews in the past when the movie had come out, and where there were other discussions on pay parity. And I find that it is still not different, and I find it very shocking when I read in the report that uh, the yesteryear actor Sharda had to say things like, we don't need any pay parity between men and women, and there needn't be a certain scale or certain minimum wage for certain departments. I find that extremely short sighted. And I think these discussions need to continue for us to understand what exactly is marketplace. Because everyone's like, oh, according to the market value, we have to understand who should be paid what. Then my question would be, do you have data that supports how much you're paying the actors, the male actors, and you continue to pay them exactly that even when they deliver a flop, so to speak? So, my question is, where is the data that is supporting that when you are so confidently deciding to underpay your female actors or female technicians who are doing the same job, if not more number of days put in?
But Parvati, it is not even about market value. There are two instances which the report cites. One of it is that there's a female actor who works, I think, for around 30 days and she gets just 4,000 pay. And it talks about a lot of people who come to the industry and they're not paid anything. They're told you're getting a chance, right? That's good enough.
This has been, by the way, said to me several times when I was starting off as well. There were times when I did not uh, make my debut in other industries, including Malayalam industry and other industries, just because this statement was said to me saying that we are giving you a chance, we are launching you. To which my only answer is like, I'm no rocket for you to launch. I'm providing a service, and you better pay me what I truly think I deserve for the effort that I'm putting in, for the craft that I'm bringing to the table. That seemed to be pretty shocking at the time. And I was personally okay with the fact that I needn't stay an actor, I can go do some other job. But that's not the case with everybody. Everyone is, and we are also gaslit in a big way, Danya. Like a lot of women are gaslit in the industry that their validation comes from a certain director or a certain producer giving them work. And the less problematic they are, the less demanding they are for what they rightfully deserve, the more opportunities that they might get. And this becomes the doorway for them to be exploited in much bigger ways and
You
worse
know that
ways.
phrase that you use, that people use, high maintenance woman, just to
Hmm.
tell you that a woman is just demanding even basic things can become high maintenance, right?
Yes,
I want
yes.
to move to the recommendations part. What are your thoughts on what there are different sets of recommendations by Justice Hema, Valsalakumari, and Sharada. Have you been through those recommendations? What are your thoughts?
As collective, we are continuing to read through the report and making sense of it. We're definitely welcoming all the recommendations, but there are concerns. We need to understand the depths of it in terms of how it is going to be made practical. In terms of the fact that these statements are made in terms of why women are finding it difficult to get opportunities, how are they finding it difficult in terms of getting paid or having a contract in place. There needs to be a deeper dive. I personally feel, and I'm not speaking for the collective here, I personally feel that when they're constituting a bigger body, a more in a more time sensitive manner, there needs to be actual tangible solutions to it, than it being a sweeping statement, oh, this must be fixed. So we are yet to completely read through it and form our views on it as a collective, but definitely working towards it.
Parvati, government of Kerala is suggesting a conclave. They apparently want to call a conclave within the next 2 months, where all actors from the cinema and serial industry will come, sit across each other, and discuss solutions. What is your take on this conclave solution?
Okay, so here goes. Women in Cinema Collective has done a lot of work. This is something that we constantly hear. What has the collective done? They just put Facebook posts. But in the last 7 years, we have done extensive research and worked with other organizations to form at least 2 to 3 documents which are extremely telling of the work culture and what could be the possible solutions to it. There is a document that we have worked on, which is called Shift Focus, that was co-created with Saki organization. There's another one called the Cinema Policy Document, which was given as per invitation to the cultural minister, which also takes in a very clear manner states what the problem is and these could be the solutions. These are the problems, these could be the solution. It cannot get more clear than that. So when you have these documents in hand, when women have put in their time and effort to also help you find solutions, if you are suggesting, if the government is suggesting a conclave, we only have many questions about it. We do not know what it means at this point. Personally, as Parvati, I would like to ask, if you're forming a conclave like this, what are the measures you're going to take to protect the survivors from the perpetrators who might also be coming to this said conclave? And in that sense, how do you expect the survivors to openly speak about their issues in their presence? And this again, I would like to specify, I am not speaking for the collective. Personally, as Parvati, someone who's deposed in front of a HEMA committee, I would like to know how you're going to protect the survivors who have come in confidence to HEMA committee and spoken about these things. Because in that sense, if it is going to be a sweeping effort just for the sake of it, we will know it from a distance, and that will not be appreciated.
So you're basically saying that it's kind of a ridiculous idea to have those people who are perpetrators or even running a feudalistic system within cinema to just sit across the table and discuss solutions, right?
Because frankly, Danya, there have been several instances, and I would rather have them speak about it, who have actually gone to these you know meetings where can openly speak, and they are just further slut shamed and attacked verbally, for them to again take a hit on top of all the surviving that we have to do. We have to still sit opposite these people and be gaslit into believing that, oh, we just weren't grateful enough. And that kind of we don't wish to be put through that. I can say that for sure. And I also find that that might end up, if those measures are not put in place and there is no proper agenda towards it, then it is extremely suspicious as to why this is being done. Whereas you can actually call the stakeholders, you can call the collective, to your confidence. The government can do that and find solutions with the executive committee members of other associations and unions. There are representatives who also work towards these solutions. So personally, I'm quite confused about the whole conclave idea. I do not understand what they mean by it.
My final question to you is that it's been a big battle till now to get this report out. I remember all the meetings that you had with the minister, with the Women's Commission, the number of press meets that you all have had to, talk at. Now that the HEMA committee report is out, what would you like to happen next? What do you think should happen next?
I genuinely wish for the government to not be so defensive and take this seriously, that if there is so many years that has been spent and we have begged and crawled and groveled for this report to come out, it is not it we've always, as a collective, we've always been there to support the government to find a solution, and that has always been the case. And if that's the thing, I would like to see some clear intentions from the government that it'll be timely, it'll be it will be fast tracked, and that there will be a coming together, there will be meetings called for, and there will be solutions discussed with the stakeholders at the earliest, because we have already waited for 4 to 5 years. And frankly, so many of us could have had a better time in this industry if it had come before. we really would have benefited if this had come. So we are already very late in getting our justice, and I would like for the government to take things up in a more speedy fashion.
Take the report very seriously, Kerala government. That's the message that Parvati has to the government of Kerala. Thank you very much, Parvati, for sharing your thoughts. And to everyone watching, do read the News Minutes coverage of the Hema Committee report. We have been covering this since 2017 itself doggedly because we believe in issues of gender. And also, like I say every time, we are an ad free platform. Nothing is possible without your support. So do become a subscriber and help us continue our work. Thank you, Parvati.
Thank you.